So we're all ready to go. Okay, I'd like us to come back to ourselves, bringing our palms together into prayer pose. And just for a moment scanning our body and see if there are any places that feel maybe a little tight or uncomfortable. Maybe you can change your sitting posture to make sure you are comfortable. And then tune into your feelings. And see what kind of feeling is dominant right now in this moment. And then we will watch our thoughts. And just being a witness. And tuning into our spiritual connection. And see if our breath can bring all these different facets within us into coherence, into alignment. That all these facets are working for each other. Good, and then we tune in with 3 arms. Inhale deeply. Inhale and exhale. And Nirmala just shared, how we want to share from our heart. So that's why I would like this morning to start with a movement that really activates our heart center. So I want you to keep your hands in prayer pose, but your fingertips are pointing downward. You're on the inhalation through your nostrils, you move your arms up, overhead, the palms stay together. And then you exhale through your open mouth, sweeping around, and you bring your palms facing upward at the heart level. Then you bring your palms together again, fingertips pointing down. Inhaling, palms pressing firmly against each other while you bring your arms up. Stretch all the way. And then open your hands to the side, your arms sweep through your auric field. Exhale through the open mouth, bring your palms back together to the level of your heart, palms facing upward. And we continue. Inhaling up. And exhale, open mouth. So when you extend your arms all the way up, you're stretching your heart meridian, which goes into your pinky. So make an effort to stretch through your armpits, getting your arms straight just for a moment. This is a great way to support our heart. It stimulates our auric field. You create space for your lungs. If our lungs are restricted, it's hard for our heart to stay open. And see what you want to exhale. Is there any feeling? One of you shared about judgment. Is there judgment you want to release this morning? We're judging all the time. Yeah, and I think the moment we open our eyes, we are judging. The color of our clothes, if we wear it or not. Yeah, the fact is only that we have a choice to come to, is the judgment I have true? Yeah? And not staying stuck in our judgments. Because if we stay stuck in judgments, it's hard to be in joy. Will we do 2 more rotations here? And just for a moment, rest your hands around your knees, keep your eyes closed, straighten your spine, tuck your chin slightly, bring your head back, and just feel into your spine for a moment, into your shoulders and your chest region. And this was a very simple, easy movement, but it starts to shift our energy. It's something, we can do easily. Good, and then we open our eyes. I want you to press down your ring finger and your pinky, and the thumb crosses over it. Index and middle fingers are touching. You move your elbows back. Yeah. Inhale overhead. Exhale, open mouth back. It's like make sure your elbows get above your ears, because I want to stimulate your stomach right now. See if there are any upsets that lurk in your stomach, and see if you can breathe them out. You're slightly arching your spine, creating more flexibility and mobility in your spine, opening your chest region. Lifting your diaphragm, making space. In the time of zooming, which we're all in right now, we're sitting a lot. Yeah. So I want you to remember the simple posture of moving, because it lifts your diaphragm and gives you aliveness, vitality. It helps your digestive system to be active. Last 3. Good, and we rest our hands back onto our knees. We close our eyes. And feel that activation. Wasn't that long, but your whole body is reacting to what you just did. The lymph starts to dance inside of you. The blood rushes through your vein in this moment more fast. Your heart might be beating a little bit faster. Good. And then we open our eyes. Again, now we make fists and we bring our elbows back. Inhale, exhale, and I really want you to clap. Then inhale, fists back. Exhale, cup your hands and bring your elbows up. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now I want you to see what stands in the way for you to be joyful today, and throw it overboard. Put it into your past. Last 10. 1. Let's do 2 more. Keep your hands behind your head. Walk your fingers down as far as they go. Bring your chin up slightly. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, open mouth. Beautiful. Last posture. We bring our arms up to 60 degrees. And I want you to have your palms facing upward. Long, deep breath. Close your eyes. And I just want you to in and exhale out of your heart center. Just imagine a ball of light in front of you, and you inhale this light into your heart, and then you share it with the world, exhaling. And see if you can keep your arms up. You're working right now for your heart center. Just for 2 minutes, see if you can be steady. There's a lot stored in our shoulders, in our arms, especially those events and incidents that haven't been digested. So I want you to stay here if you can and breathe in, breathe through, breathe out of any discomfort. Allow to come to the surface but wants to be seen. Good, just a little bit more. Last 3 breaths. And on the next exhalation, sweep through your auric field, rest your hands onto your knees, palms facing upward, eyes stay closed. Straighten your spine, face slightly turn upward, mild focus between your eyebrows. You might be present right now to the expansion you feel in your chest. Good, and from this place of openness, I'd like you to listen to Nirmala.
Thank you, Siddhi. It always surprises me how little movement is necessary in order to feel our body. How easily we can just sit in a chair or take a walk or anything that intensifies our experience of being in the body and remembering that we're this combination of body, mind, spirit. It's so exquisite. So today, I would like to continue our discussion of intuition, but first I'd like to chat just a moment about the toolbox. I want to thank you. 23 of you have managed to get on to the toolbox. That's impressive, given the hoops that are required with the technology. The same questions over and over. Please join, please join, please join. And you're like, I joined. What now? But you've done it. We've had some really beautiful sharings on the toolbox of our members' individual journey and the transitions they're going through, and some really lovely resources that are there. So I encourage any of you who are inclined to even set your notifications so that you get, I have it set so it just texts me when somebody writes something or responds, so I don't even have to log in. It just comes up on my phone, which makes it easy. So just reminding you of that and telling you how luscious it is to be sharing the journey. Now, oh, look at that great dog walking through. Colleen, you have a big dog. How luscious it is to share the journey, not only on Zoom and seeing one another's faces, but also in your writing and how you're sharing with words. So we have many ways that we communicate with one another. And hopefully in this circle, in this Sangha, we'll take the opportunity to experience one another in many different ways. Siddhi and I were even having a dream that next year, by this time next year, we'll be able to actually maybe meet in person somewhere and have a few days together after having built this community online to actually be with one another in person. So that's our dream. That's our intention. We're putting that out into the universe. So let's see how that goes. So today, I want to change something for you. I want to change from my job is self-transformation to my joy is self-transformation. So all we have to do is change the B to a Y. And now we have the idea that joy and self-transformation are linked together, which of course they are. The more aware and attentive we become in our life, the more our capacity opens for us to reveal and experience the joy that's already there. So I'm going to start saying that my joy is self-transformation instead of my job. I decided that sounded too, was too much work. I don't want to be in a job. I want to just be in joy. So we're going to stay with my joy is self-transformation. So I don't know if any of you had the opportunity this past week to notice and maybe write down or at least take notice in your memory of your intuition and where it played a part of your daily movings around and where that came from. Was it just a momentary knowingness, or was it an actual visual that you had, a fleeting picture in your mind of something that you thought, ooh, I should pay attention to this? So if you want to let me know in our chat section, if you want to just say, yes, I registered my intuitive capacity this week, that would be fun, but you don't have to. But it's a practice, it's a discipline. So the way that we do disciplines to keep our bodies in order, the things that Siddhi is sharing with us, the ways in which we are careful about our eating habits, how we're nourishing this body, the ways in which we are intellectually stimulating ourselves with reading and conversation. So we're using tools to heighten each of our different aspects of our being. And the tool that we're using now to be able to heighten our experience of joy is our intuition. So I'd like to say that I'm going to call it knowingness more than intuition. I'm going to say that for me, I experience knowingness on 3 different levels, not an hierarchy, but just 3 different levels. The first is my knowingness based on logic. And that's the most accepted way we know something. You've read about it, you've seen a study, you know that it to be true because A equals B and B equals C, so A equals C. We all know how to do that. So logic is used in our Western minds. Logic is the primary source through which we utilize our knowingness. The second way of us having knowingness is when we have it from our subconscious. So it's based on prior experiences, deep memories, associations that we've built in our lives, all different pieces of information that are sitting in our subconscious. And when a situation comes up, our subconscious naturally correlates things. And then it gives you information that last time when you did this similar activity, this happened. So then you have a momentary gut feeling of, oh, it's not good to do this, or it's better to do it this way, because you know of some success or some pitfalls, but you have an experience that's already part of your subconscious. It's your own experience rising up and interacting with your logic and coming to a conclusion. But it's deeper than just a mental construct. And then the third knowingness is the level that we're talking about here in this circle. And that's when you attune yourself to the frequency of a deeper wisdom that isn't out of simply experience or knowledge. It's actually happening on another level that you may or may not even be able to understand. Some people will call it divine wisdom. Some people will call it connecting to cosmic all-knowing, however you want to language it. But it's outside of the ordinary consciousness and subconsciousness that we're used to working within. And that's the intuition and the knowingness I'm speaking to, which requires a certain discipline to tap into. Naturally, you'll go towards what's logical or what you've had a prior experience with and how you can come to some sort of conclusion based on what you've already experienced. But where we really have freedom of experiences to get ourselves into the place where we don't even have to have had any relationship to the situation and we still have a knowingness. That's our true freedom. We're not then being hijacked by only those things we've experienced and we have in our memory base. We have the whole universe to tap into. And so that source of intuition is a discipline that we hone. Just like you would hone and develop your body if you were doing some sort of a physical challenge, like a marathon or something. You wouldn't just go out and think you could run the 23.7 miles or whatever it is. You would actually have a discipline preparing yourself. So our intuition on that deeper level requires some of our attention and intention. Life is not accidental, even though it looks that way. And we use the word accidents so often. But everything happens between a cause and effect, which in this language that we're using with intuition is really between intention, which is the cause, and attention, which is the effect. And I know there are things that are happening in our lives that feel beyond that we don't have any intention for, and we don't want to pay any attention to, and yet it's still happening. And that's because we operate within a larger cosmic timeline and reality. It's not just our circle of life or our larger community circle or even our country circle or even our planet circle. We know that reality is so much more than that, even though we can't necessarily always measure it or understand it or imbibe it into the usefulness in our daily life. But all things have a relationship. Everything that happens has a relationship. So if it's our intention to pay attention, so if it's our intention to pay attention to the world around us, our intuition will naturally increase. And as that happens, our connectedness to the world as a whole, the unity of humanity and all sentient beings increases. And then our duality decreases. So the beautiful sharing you had about, having judgment, Penny, about having judgment of things changing in your community just based on what's happening in the world now is a great example of that. So you had the beautiful awareness to recognize what was coming up for you and what was the cause. how that circle was working. And so now from that place, we have the opportunity to, once we look at it, it's like when you're in a room, a completely dark room, no light, and a pinpoint is opened into that room and light comes in, you can immediately see that light because you're in darkness. That little pinpoint of light will be very easy to find in the room. But if you're in a room that's filled with light, a little bit of darkness coming in one corner, you may or may not even notice that. In our consciousness, that when we invite in awareness, it's like the light coming into the darkness, and we see it and we can follow it so easily. And then we start to unravel it. We start to ask ourselves the questions of, is it really impacting me? And if it is, what does that mean? Is this a knee-jerk judgment? Or is this a deeper, sometimes judgments lead us to activate in a way that we might see that there's need for change. And so that judgment, which initially feels a little bit maybe, well, judgmental, may actually be the road we take to deciding on some other change and being a participant in change that is good. So we don't always look at judgment as being negative. We look at how we're holding it. And if we can turn it from being judgment to being observation, then we have an opportunity to use it. Is there something useful? Maybe when all these people are flooding into these different areas that used to be more resort oriented, and now people are looking at it as maybe I can live there full time because I'm working from home anyway. Maybe the system for those areas needs to change. Maybe we need to have new ways of trafficking and new ways, all sorts of things might have to change. So noticing it is not a negative thing. It might catapult us into making some positive changes that will be in concert with the changes that are happening anyway, because it's all connected. So when we step out of our idea that somehow we're separate from, and we agree that we're part of the whole, then we have an opportunity to have collective consciousness and change. And when that starts happening, we feel the vibrancy of the whole. And that's one of the expressions of joy that we start to feel. It's that feeling when you go to, a concert or something and everybody's singing the same song about peace on earth or whatever it happens to be. And you feel this sense that I'm part of the whole, that there's something happening here and I'm not a single piece. I am actually part of the entirety of it. And that's when we get into that, and then what arises is a sense of joy, and you'll probably have some tears that come with it because you feel the disillusion of the container we keep trying to hold up as separate. It takes a lot of energy to hold our container separate from. When we start to dissolve those walls, we become part of. And judgment is a great entree to that. When you catch yourself, if you are in awareness and you catch yourself in judgment, or even, you don't have to call it judgment, you're just an observation of something that's changing and you're a little surprised by it, or alarmed by it, or concerned by it. That's you being in the growth of this entirety that we belong to. It's growing and changing all the time, and we belong to it. So being in conscious awareness of it is a really healthy thing. So let's change the terminology from being I'm in judgment to that I'm in conscious awareness, and change our internal sort of dialogue from I'm trapped in this, or this is happening and I don't like it, to, oh, I'm in awareness that there's a shift coming and maybe I'm a piece of this shift and I can contribute in some way to it shifting in a healthy way. And then we're not victims to whatever's happening. We're participants in the co-creation of our environment, our universe, our humankind, our sentient beings. We're a co-creator of that rather than a separate entity. So this week, There's just so much more to get to about intuition, and there's not enough time today to do all of that. So we'll continue this. But what I'd like you to consider this week is that one of the milestone highlight observations of those who are able to enter into their intuition more easily is that they are having experiences of solitude and silence. So they're either setting up time, or they just happen to be a more silent and in solitude sort of person. But I'd like to invite you this week to imagine into some silent discipline for the week. And I'm going to give you an idea. We do a lot of here at the ashram. People are in and out of silence all the time. Our teacher has us in silence 3 days, 5 days, 2 weeks, 1 month. Everybody's in and out all the time. But one of the ways that he does silence ongoing for people is an evening silence. So you can choose the hour, but typically here we start at 10 p.m. and we go until the morning. So you can pick the time in the morning that you might have to have meetings and might have to be engaged. So it might be 10 to 9 or 10 to 8, but that means not talking to your partner, not talking on the phone, not looking at the phone, not getting on the computer, no books on tapes, nothing. It means giving yourself from 10 p.m. permission or 9 p.m. permission until whatever time in the morning to not speak and to not engage in any kind of outside stimulus other than nature. And you might try it for a few nights. Try it for 3 nights. And see how that cultivating that silence actually contributes to your heightening of your intuition. Have a beautiful week.
Thank you, Nirmala. There was so much gold in what you said. I'm glad we're recording it so that we can listen to it over and over again. And I can say it's really, being in silence is so beautiful. But it's so foreign for us, especially where I live. And then I thought, when you said it, I said, okay, I start Monday because tomorrow is French Open final. I can't not be on the screen tomorrow morning. So I have to adjust my schedule a little bit because I want to watch it. Okay, so I thought for today, because when we want to tap into silence, what we really need in silence is also patience. Because our mind is so busy with all our agendas and to-dos, so that I like for us to enhance our patience. And we can do this by just having the tip of our thumb touch the tip of our middle finger. That's it. Yeah. So the fire in your thumb balances the ether. The Akash is actually called Akasha Mudra, but in some traditions also Shuni Mudra. There are different names for it. And you can rest this mudra very gently on your knees. There's nothing, make sure your arms don't have to be uptight and straight. Just let them be straight, but there can be a looseness in it. Yeah, just not bent, so that the energy can really flow. And then I want you to close your eyes this morning. And I just want you to listen to your own silence. Maybe to the silence around you or the lack of. Maybe you hear the leaf blower next door or somebody is, hammering on their house. But just paying attention on how this affects you in your silence. And just being present to the noises in your environment and your internal noises. Allowing yourself to become the witness. And when you're the witness, you can really separate yourself from the experience. You can tap into the essence of silence within you. I invite you to just follow your breath. And this morning I will not play music to distract you. And see if you can invite silence as your most precious gift. Just for the remaining 4 minutes. And then we take a deep inhalation. Open mouth, exhale. 2 more times, inhale. And exhale. We're keeping our eyes closed, our hands come into prayer pose. Bowing our head towards our heart. And tuning out with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Inhale deeply. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Maybe you stay in silence for a moment, settling back into yourself. And Nirmala and I are looking forward to seeing you next week. And in the meantime, enjoy the toolbox. Namaste.